investors, I'm L.A. Little. This is your daily NeoTA wrap. We take a look at these markets and we do it from a neoclassical perspective, looking at supply and demand on the charts and using that information to make wise decisions about how to manage one's affairs. And more up. Today the NDX gains another 0.3 for DAX and the CAX. When you look at our markets and you look at the S&P 500, what do you see? You see two things tonight. You see a bearish engulfing and you see a test failure. So the bearish engulfing is here. Test failure is off this swing point high, just like we saw last night. So that's two now in a row. Volume picks up a little bit. Bearish engulfing. This looks like it wants to try and retrace. Where's the retrace to? Well, the first swing point high is here. Bottom of it is there. Just so happens to coincide with this area back here. It's in the middle of that area. And then the larger swing point, which hasn't been broken, is deeper, which will take you back into here. From a bullish perspective, you want to get over this and you want to hold it. Haven't been able to so far. That says that you can finally get a pullback if other indexes allow it. What are those other indexes doing? Well, like last night, they continue to power high. And as we see this market push higher, these indexes push higher, what you have is you have a concentrated set of stocks that continues to move this market to the north, and the majority of those are concentrated in the NDX. Russell, we were talking about slightly green today. I guess that's about time, right, since this thing has been struggling, but we're talking about nothing major. This thing had made the full bullish retest regenerate off this swing point high, and as it came back into that area, it got just underneath it here. Now it's trying to push back, regenerate. Given that it got under it, odds are it's going to come back and revisit this area one more time before it's over. But usually you'll see it push higher and then come back. So far has been unable to do that. Let's take a quick look at the world markets. I'm interested in Europe because that's where the action is. Swiss market was higher again. Not much volume coming into it, but man, that thing has been on a tear. And it looks like it's just about done. It's ABCD. Let me see here. We got 8,200 roughly up to 87. So about 500. Tack on 5 to there. 8,991. You did it. So this thing just finished off its ABCD. And so what that makes me think is that you're probably going to see this thing take a rest now. So here's the ABCD structure. Just finished it off. And you have a larger one that was here, and that one is just about done as well, it looks like, if not done. Let's get a number on that one. 77. It's about 770. Yep, that's about the same number. So it looks to me like the Swiss market has finished off the ABCD structure on that time frame. And if you're looking at it on this time frame, you don't even have a B point yet. I mean, on the daily, this thing's just up and away. So I would think that they're going to find their pullback fairly soon. They've been the strongest market in the European theater. You got an over-under here. Remember we had not the two bar, we called it an over-under yesterday. You kind of got another over-under, but more volume today. So, as we suspected last night, that didn't stop this thing. I didn't think it was a good bet, and that's what I informed you about. Same thing on the CAX. That one had an over-under last night, and that one actually did trade sideways. It was slightly up, but still within the realm of almost sideways. Those look to try and trade a little bit higher. I think the Swiss market's the one that's going to pull back. If you go over to Asia, Shanghai has been struggling, continues to struggle, does do an under-over with less volume. That says you can get a bounce, I would think, back into the bottom of this bar is where you would expect it to come back to, and that would be the trade to short again if you're trying to short that market. Let's see what the Hong Kong market looks like. So this one hasn't finished the ABCD down on that one, and this one hasn't finished the ABCD up. So quite a contrast in terms of those markets. One of the things I try to do for members is give them some ideas. I'm usually not trading all that often with the markets in terms of day trading. I used to do that a lot. I don't do it that much anymore. Just doesn't interest me to day trade that much anymore. But a lot of people still like to do that, and so I try to share ideas with them. One of the ideas I had here today with those guys was on one of these short squeezes, DDD, which is 3D Systems. Now 3D Systems had set up pretty nice actually, and I had alerted members to $18 as the area that we ought to be focused on. It came down intraday and gave us a perfect setup for a trade. And here on the private Twitter account, I just laid out that setup and what it looked like. What happened this morning is, and these were 5-minute bars, you had a big spike down on a 5-minute bar into that 18 area that we were looking at. And then here, you got the reversal, right? You got the test failure to get lower. So in other words, you come down, you go sideways. Neoclassically, you're looking for supply and demand on the charts. That's what I talk about all the time. Well, that supply and demand, when they failed to break it down, they were telling you that more than likely this thing was going to flip around and head back the other way. And head back the other way it did in a big way, right, from 18 all the way back to 19 plus. So you got a dollar move on an 18 stock. That's a good 4.5–5%. So it was a good move. Yeah, actually, it's more than that depending on where you got it. But it was a good move. Come down at a swing point high, didn't quite get to it. 1768 was that high. Got to just under 18. Was it 1794? But that was the area that made sense, and that made the trade. Those are the kinds of trades that you can make neoclassically. You're not going to win on all of them, but if you want to day trade, you need an edge. The edge is neoclassical model for those trades. As far as tomorrow, it looks to me like this market is going to try and retrace, and I don't think they'll get that deep though. If we go back to the charts here, the fact that we have probably a little weakness coming into Europe, especially in the Swiss market, and we have this bearish engulfing here, we may get a little retrace back into the swing point high, maybe at that 2390 level. But then I expect the buyers probably show right back up, and they hang it up here. They want to break this thing out, folks. They broke it out everywhere else. This is where they're still trying. The broad market hasn't been able to do it, but they're certainly going to keep at it until they get it done. That's it for tonight. Have yourself a great one. If you're interested in what we do and you want to check it out, just send me an email. You can check me out on a private Twitter if you're a member, a public Twitter there. If you're not, here's the email. I would be happy to talk to you about what we do and how you might get started. Take care. Good night.